Hey there, Richard from No Pants Profits, coming to you live from the Pacific Northwest, right outside of Portland, Oregon, on board the American Empress paddle wheeler. And I've been on board for about 6 days so far, so I'll give you a review of what's going on, what happened, everything like that. We did do on this channel previously for No Pants Profits, did a review of the American Countess, so this is our American Empress review, and I will tell you, we are out here in the middle of nowhere. Portland is a good few miles away, and it is very cold, so unfortunately no pants, must be wearing pants. But I will also tell you, one of my biggest issues on the last sailing with an American Steamboat Company cruise was the internet. So I call that the elephant in the room, was the internet and the lack of a hot tub, because it's very, very cold out here. So as strange as it sounds, since we're in the middle of nowhere, like I showed you, we are legitimately in the middle of nowhere. Well, let's start with a little internet test, because a lot of my subscribers that are watching are like, hey, can I still do stocks? Can I still do crypto? Can I still do all of that while I'm out? And we were told that there would be a 17-hour period where we had no internet. Unfortunately, that was a lie. So we're gonna try this real quick. We're gonna try this in real time. Then I'm gonna show you the cabin, I'm gonna show you the whole ship, and show you what's going on. I do normally do these tours in the afternoon, but I thought there'd be a little bit more going on in the evening. But let's take a look right here. Again, in the middle of the Pacific Northwest. We're going to use speedtest.net, just on Wi-Fi. Everything else is turned off. And you know what? I consider that acceptable. That is a major, 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 major boost. Now, there are some things that are blocked from accessibility, like you can't get to Tinder for some reason, and you can't mine crypto, which is kind of interesting, because I was talking to the guys in the engine room earlier in the cruise. I'll just let that finish real quick, and I'll show you some history real quick, so you can see this is not just one point in time, but I did want to show you one point in time, because one point in time is very useful. But just to go to some history, these are mostly taken on board, other than the crazy 122 one. Those are all taken on board. The 122 was out in T-Mobile, and there's actually a port that's got a Google data center and Amazon data center and all of that. But we are going to now do a little tour of the cabins. We're going to take a look at a standard balcony stateroom with private balcony and a larger balcony stateroom with private balcony, because we are traveling in two different rooms during this sailing. So we're going to take a look at those two rooms, and then we're going to take a look around at the entire boat. So this is the balcony of the standard balcony stateroom with private balcony. You will see what the non-private balconies look like, and you'll see there's a speaker up there that if I turn it on, there's a switch inside that plays 60s music. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to go inside. This is not the way you generally enter the stateroom, but we are packing, so excuse the big luggage. Split that bed in two. You can see I'm traveling with some of the people who are in the same bed, but split the bed in here in two. This is the standard balcony stateroom with a private balcony. The TV is from God knows what year. For scale, what do we got? Wine glass for scale. You can see that takes up a significant portion of the TV. So wine glass for scale there. Got a coffee maker, refrigerator, pretty standard stuff. Where things start to get interesting is this little control panel right here. This allows you to turn on 70s music or 60s music in the room. You just go up here, and then all of a sudden you start getting 60s and 70s music. Maybe. Start getting some 60s and 70s music right out of the speaker right there. I will tell you that compared to the Countess, this is a smaller room. The Countess was extended. It was a larger boat. And, they extended the middle of the Countess. If you haven't watched the Countess video, I highly recommend you watch the Countess video. And I will tell you, the Countess had something that was great. Oh, I am wearing pants. It's a little cold. It's a little too cold for no pants. Sorry. But the Countess actually had very large bathrooms. This does not have very large bathrooms at all. This does not have very large bathrooms, and I think because they didn't have enough space to work with. But they don't have suites and other things like that on the Countess. All of the rooms are larger, and you'll see just a normal shower, just to give you an idea what is going on there. Now we are on the third deck, which is primarily a passenger deck. So we're on the third deck, which is primarily a passenger deck. So we're going to go ahead. This is a normal, standard balcony stateroom with a private balcony. This is room, if you're wondering, will be gone by the time you see this. This is room 328. We're going to take a look at a larger balcony stateroom with a private balcony, just to give you an idea of the difference there. So this is a main passenger hallway that we're in right now. So if we do see, and it's very, very, very wide. You'll see it's an exceptionally wide hallway. And the original name for this boat was the Empress of the North. So it used to travel up in Alaska with the company, and then it kind of went defunct. And it sat for a while, and American Queen Steamboat Company went ahead and fixed it up quite a bit. And you can see we've got a lot of different artwork here that calls out the Antarctic. And before we go into the next cabin, I do want to show you kind of the defining feature of the actual American Queen Steamboat Company, which is the paddle wheel. So the paddle wheel is a very unique and defining feature. So let's take a walk back. So you'll see it's not that noisy inside, but I do warn you it's going to get noisy once we go outside, and you can see just how close you can get to this paddle wheeler. And it is actually cold enough out here to see one's breath. I'm not sure if that's going to show on the video, but something really cool that we did get to do is we did get to actually go down to the engine room and see how it all worked. So I'll insert some engine room clips here so you kind of see the engine room, see what the paddle wheeler's like. You cannot go down there when it's under operation because it's far, far, far too loud to go there. But it was really cool because I've only been able to see, those of you who know the channel know that I've actually worked on cruise ships for many years, and I was only able to go to the engine room one time ever. So as you can see from this very quick engine room tour, there were actually 4 diesel engines that provided about 80% of the power to the actual boat, and there was the paddle wheeler on the back that provided about 20% of the power to the actual boat. It was a really cool tour, something I've never seen before on any of the river boats, or I've never seen as a passenger on any cruise ship before, but it was really awesome, and you can see the wheel right there on the back. If you want to see more, comment below and I'll do a separate engine room video. So, a little bit different, but let's see. Ooh, okay, here we go. So what we're doing, let me show you what we're going into now. We're going into a larger room, which is one of my traveling companions, which is 348. And this is a larger room here. You can see there's a lot more room for activities. Bigger bed, it's the same size as the other bed. Bigger bed there. And just so we don't get into copyright issues, you can see right up there we've got our speaker playing 60s and 70s music, and we've got our control panel. So very much similar to the other room. And you'll see if we look around, just a lot more room for, as the kids say, a lot more room for activities. And we've got a seating area, and we've just got a lot more room. We've got 2 big bay windows instead of 1. This cost about $1,000 more than the last room we were in for a 7-day cruise. Just to get a bit more room. Still sleeps the same 2 people, but costs about $1,000 more. Take a look at the balcony real quick. Just a quick look at the balcony. And you can see more of that Pacific Northwest scenery right there. And literally right here, inches away, if we go up and over, you've got the paddle wheel. So that'll show you the paddle wheel is right there. Whoa. So this is April of 2022, early April 2022. So the weather is very, very cold. It has not yet snowed, but we did actually get some sleet earlier in the day, or hail. I caught some in my hand, so I'm gonna count it as snow. I'm a Floridian, so yeah, that's snow for me. But let's go ahead and let's take a look at the rest of what's going on. I do want to show you the bathroom. Again, this is 348. See, the bathroom is the same size. Just turn the light on real quick. Bathroom is the same size over here in 348. Even though, if you look, they may have a little more room to, I mean, they have a lot of bit more room to work with in here, but didn't expand the bathroom. So, kind of interesting that they got that lot of bit more room here to work with and did not expand the bathroom. So this is on deck 3, and all that's on deck 3 is actually passenger cabins. That's all you've got on deck 3 is passenger cabins and the top of the paddle wheeler. So we're gonna go ahead and we are going to go down a little bit. We'll walk to the front of deck 3 so you can see all of deck 3. I know I usually start on deck 1 when you go in, but I decided to start on deck 3 right now because I want to show you more of what's going on deck 0, well not deck 0, deck 1, 2, 3, and deck 4. So I do want to show you all those decks. So again, we're just going down deck 3, which just consists of a passenger cabin corridor. There's probably about 65 to 70 cabins on this deck, I'd say. And then you've got a front of the boat access where you can see the locks and everything like that. And again, you'll see more of this Pacific Northwest inspired artwork. So you'll see that Pacific Northwest inspired artwork right there along the walls. And as we go outside, we will see the front of the boat. So this is a river boat. It's not really an ocean faring vessel, but one of the cool things about being a river boat is it does go through locks. So it does actually go through locks, and we have some locks. I have some time-lapse video of the locks you can see right here. So here is a time-lapse video of one of the locks we went through. You can see the boat going forward, and we actually dropped about 100 feet on this lock specifically. We dropped almost 1,000 feet over the entire sailing, and it was really cool because we went through about 8 locks. I caught about 6 out of the 8 locks, and it was really cool to see, and you can kind of see it gets totally darkness, the boat drops totally down, and that lock in the front opens up. These were all built by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. So they're very different than the locks you'd find in, say, the Panama Canal, and the ship just pays a small tax to go through it, not a huge fee like in the Panama Canal and other places. And the cool thing is we don't actually even need a port to dock in. You got this guy right there that they can just slam down anywhere. You crash the boat into land, you slam that down, and that is your gangplank. That's actually not been used much this sailing, and just so you can kind of see, because we're already in the front, everybody goes where the magic happens. This is the pilot house, the bridge of the American Empress. I am going to insert some pilot house video here because we did get a pilot house tour a bit earlier in the sailing.
New captains?
I'm training a new captain right now, and we have a new chief mate that's on as well that the chief mate is training. So we have 2 new licensed officers up here. So my trainee is going home tomorrow with you all. He'll go on a 2-week break, and then he'll come back and take over. So for 2 weeks.
And you go on a break?
And I get to go on a break.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah. So.
Nice. Very cool.
You'll see it's rainy. It's not snowing. Unfortunately, for this Florida boy, if I'm going to put on pants, I want to see snow. Well, the good news for this Florida boy is on the last day of the sailing, when we were right near Portland, all of a sudden, the day before we were supposed to get off, it started to snow. And Florida boy, who hasn't really played in snow for a while, decided, hey, let's build a snowman. So I actually built a snowman at 2 o'clock in the morning on the last evening of the sailing, and everybody woke up the next day and was like, who is this happy, happy snowman? I'll call him Snowloff, because we don't want to get into copyrights, but that's Snowloff, the happy snowman, and I finally got to see snow on board. But let's get back inside. Taking this very slow and carefully. We're going to take it back inside. Back on deck 3. We'll take it back inside. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to check out the showroom now. Now, as we head to the showroom, I do want to talk about something that was probably the most negative part of this experience, which has nothing to do with anybody on board or this actual ship. When we did come on board, the testing, the vaccine card checking, all of that was done very messily. Again, not done on board. It was done in the hotel before we actually got to the boat. So we just walked on when we got here. Walked on, already had our room keys and everything, but they had everybody come at the exact same time. They started about half an hour late because they had to check the crew. And again, nothing of the people on board this specific sailing has to do with the actual shoreside employees from the American Queen Steamboat Company and their vaccine requirements. And they did also have requirements on private bus transportation that you had to wear masks. Now, when you are on board, right as of right now, only the majority of the crew members are actually wearing masks on board right now. Not every single one, you'll see, but the majority of the crew members on board right now are actually wearing masks. We're waiting for an elevator because I do want to show you the size of these elevators, because the size of these elevators is gargantuan, gigantic, huge, big old elevators. And yes, Richard's still wearing pants, unfortunately. Let's take it down to deck 1. So you do have 2 dining venues on board. Talking to a mirror, so you can see my camera. You do have 2 dining venues on board. You've got one on deck 1, which we're going to check out right now, and one on deck 4, which we're going to check out in a few minutes. But I do want to show you where you actually get on the boat, and the main guest services desk and everything like that. All right. So this is where you'll generally get on, either this side or on the other side right over there is where you generally get on board. And what they do have instead of you needing to have water bottles and things like that they do have water bottles on board, but if you want to fill up your own water, you got that little water machine that you can fill up your own water in. Now American Queen does not have an application, unlike every other cruise line. There's no app. The daily program is a physical daily program only. You can't go on the app, you can't see the menu, you can't do other things like that. It is a physical daily program only, and they do post all of the menus right outside of the dining venue. So we can see for tonight, for dinner, we can see what's going on there. They do have 2 locations, one that's like a buffet location, which we'll go up to in a little bit, called the River Grill. And one that is the Astoria dining room, which is right here. And Astoria is actually the port we are headed to right now. And this is the Astoria dining room right here. So this is the main thoroughfare where you will get on and off the boat for every day we've done so far. And here is the Astoria dining room. You can see, not huge, 1 level, plenty of room for everybody. Nice setup there. Not a huge staff running it or anything like that, but nice, quaint dining room. Disclaimer. Calories in this room don't count. Calories in this room do not count. And hand sanitizer all over, but I will insert some photos and some video of the dining room right now. Another thing, we've got hand washing stations all over there. And we've got an all-American crew. This is how this differs from most ocean-going cruise ships. We have an actual all-American crew. And you'll see, there's your all-American crew on board, and the hotel director and the chief engineer are together. And we have a female captain, F&B manager. Actually got 2 F&B managers on board right now because they're switching out. But the crew are very, very personable. It's a little different than you'd get, well, actually a lot of different than you'd get with a more foreign crew that you get on a foreign flagged vessel. So we've got a staircase right here. But this is the main thoroughfare. So I'm going to be a little quieter here, but this is the main thoroughfare, and you'll see we've got the guest services desk right here. And we got a guest services desk, purser's office, and you've got this guy right here. That is for getting your hop on, front of the boat channel, your hop on, hop off tickets. So we'll go in the gift shop real quick and we'll talk about this. So included in your American Queen Steamboat Company sailings are included excursions. And those included excursions are on a hop-on, hop-off bus that you can go, and they pay for the activities that they stop at. They've prepaid. They're usually museums that cost $10 to $15 to get into. Some of them are government sites, so they have free admission, but included. And if you want to get on some of the first buses in the morning, if you're an early riser, you pick up one of those tickets right there. So if you pick up one of those tickets, that allows you to get on the bus. Now, I'll tell you, there were a lot of different stops on our hop-on, hop-off tours over the course of the cruise, and I would tell you my favorite was the National Neon Sign Museum, which was on the Dalles, Washington. You wouldn't expect it to be there, but it was really, really awesome. A whole bunch of neon signs, a whole setup that kind of looked like Back to the Future, and you could see all these different neon signs. And one of the most awesome things is there was a guy who ran it who actually gave us a tour. What was really cool is in a lot of these museums, they actually set up the curator or the owner of the museum to give us a tour, and he had the first neon bulb ever made. And that's really, really awesome. He actually showed us the first neon bulb ever made that he flew back from France. And I said to him straight up, I said, this belongs in the Smithsonian, doesn't it? And he goes, well, the good news is it's French, so they can't take it from me. But it's a whole neon sign museum, and that is included. That's what's really cool. We went to dams, and we saw, the fish dams and the different locks and things like that, but still my favorite was the National Neon Sign Museum, and these signs that you're seeing are less than 5% of this guy's collection. Really, really cool. Highly, highly recommend you check that out if you're ever in the Dalles, Washington. It's a really cool, that's a neon sign selling kit, and here's the owner and the curator actually explaining. He has a whole bunch of kits about neon signs and things like that, and yes, I'm a nerd, so something like that is really, really, really awesome. So yeah, Neon Sign Museum, one of the best stops on the hop-on, hop-off excursion that is included with your American Empress cruise for everyone. You just need a ticket to get on board at a certain time. And again, we are in the gift shop right here. Very small gift shop. Some different stuff. Selling some wine. Selling some sundries. Just so you can see the prices going on there. And really, this is the only place that you're going to spend your onboard credit, except if you're going on a premium shore excursion, which we did actually go on a few premium shore excursions, and they are a slight upcharge from what you get included here. They're not a slight upcharge. They're kind of like a normal cruise ship charge, but they've got zip lining. They've got, we did a whole cruise up the Snake River as far as was navigable to go on the Snake River in about 5 hours, up and back. So the Snake River is one of our upcharge excursions. We got to go up much further than the actual American Empress could go. It was really cool. It was a 5-hour journey all the way upriver to where the Snake River was, because we were just on the Snake River for a little bit. We spent most of our time on the Columbia, but this was really cool. These were on boats that had very shallow bottoms, so they could go in very shallow water. We went through rapids and things like that. It's not an intense rapid like a river rapid or anything like that, but it was actually a really cool thing to get to experience, see what was going on. You got to see the changes in the climates that were going on, and you got to spend a little time, have some lunch, have some cookies, have some things like that when you were out there on the Snake River. They had their own little private area. Great, worthwhile tour. I will say about 80% of the people on board were on that, because that was the only way you could go further upriver than the actual steamboat could go. Great captain, great everything. 10 out of 10 on this tour. Really awesome tour overall, and I'd say everybody really enjoyed it. And you kind of see all the rapids right there, and the boat and the rapids and all of those other things like that, which was really, really awesome. Then we also went to Monmouth Falls, which is a 600-foot tall waterfall. This was on another day. Really, really cool tour, and this was in the more temperate climate, so you can see there was a lot more green than there was on the Snake River, because as we went down, we got from kind of a desert where we started, went towards the Pacific Ocean, and that was the main goal, which you'll see in a second, is we started in Washington, and we went towards the Pacific Ocean, and you could see that's the Monmouth Falls, and then we took the expedition that Lewis and Clark did and wound up towards the Pacific Ocean. So this was where we ended up. The boat was about 10 miles outside of where this image is taken, but that's actually where all the rivers and the ocean meet, because that was really quite cool to see where all the rivers and the ocean meet. That's actually the Pacific Ocean. I am an Atlantic guy myself, living in Florida, but you can see that Pacific Ocean, the Pacific Northwest, and you could see kind of the weather was very, very cold there, which Florida boy is not a fan of. That was an awesome tour that we got to see the end. That was not something that was included. That was an upcharge tour, and there was one of the upcharge tours that we did that was a little less exciting. We are not big wine people, but we were told we have to check out wine country, and there was a winery that we got to visit in in one of the ports, and this was not a very impressive winery overall because they didn't even grow their own grapes. So kind of interesting that they didn't grow their own grapes and they're still a winery, but they didn't grow their own grapes and the wine was not very good at all. It was just a blend of a bunch of other stuff. But that's just my personal opinion. You like wine, you don't like wine. I'm not going to put the name of the winery or anything, but that'll just give you a little bit of an idea of some of the upcharge excursions you can do on port. But the whole idea is that you've got those shore excursions built in, or you have upgraded shore excursions. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the gift shop, and we're going to take a look at the show lounge right now. But I don't want to talk when I'm in the show lounge, so I'm just going to show you the show lounge real quick, show you a couple minutes of the live show, and then we'll also put in some time from the recordings of the show. Let me jump out of here real quick. So put some time for the recordings of the show that have happened, but let me show you a couple minutes of the live show. This is going on right now in the show lounge.
They work for both kinds of American music, country and western. These days, country usually crosses over to pop. Rock and roll too.
And some of the most memorable characters of the Broadway stage. You see, the funny thing about this stage is that it's magic. Here I am in this room with all of you, and here you are in this room with me. But thanks to the aforementioned magic, we can also be in a completely different place, at a completely different time, with someone else entirely. So, for starters, let's travel back in time, about 100 years, and across an ocean to the tiny Russian village of Anatevka. Some of what you see tonight may alarm you, but have no fear, I am a professional. Oh, dear Lord, you had many, many poor people. Of course, I realize it's no shame to be poor, but it's no great honor either. So what would have been so terrible if I had a small fortune? If I were a rich man, if I were a wealthy man, I wouldn't have to work hard. If I were a great, very, very rich,
right, so that's the show lounge and the bar, and I do want to let you know that what is in the show lounge and the bar, well, the shows are obviously included, but the bar is also all-inclusive. So the bar is all-inclusive. You know, you pay to get on board. You never have to take your card out. You never have to swipe it. Everybody has a beverage package, so that's really a nice option, is that everybody's got that beverage package. Everybody's got what they need. And one of the most impressive pieces of art I found on board, it's kind of interesting if you know anything about the art world. They've got some things from Theo Fabergé. They've actually got some Fabergé eggs on board here. So I'll show you some of the Fabergé eggs. That's a United States one with the Supreme Court or Lincoln Memorial or something inside of it. These are actual Fabergé eggs. You see right there. Right there. And you can hear the show going on in the background. And the nice thing is that's unique recording, so I should not get a copyright issue there. And you'll see there's actually letters from Tatiana Fabergé to Bob and Lori, which Bob and Lori should be right here. No, that is not Bob and Lori. But you can see, and this is the medical center. It's just inside of a cabin right now. I don't think they ever really had a medical center in the pre-COVID days. We're not going to look into it, but that is the medical center. And they do have a bunch of public restrooms that are in use right now. All right, let's go ahead. Let's continue on. Just if you're wondering, yes, there is a defibrillator. But let's go ahead. We've taken a look at this one dining location. Oh, sorry. I want to go ahead and I want to take a look at another dining location, which is called the River Grill. Now, the River Grill is kind of the more casual option, but something really unique of the River Grill is every night they have lobster and every night they have prime rib. So you can kind of take this dining location and make it your, they got lobster and they've got prime rib every night starting at 5 p.m. So every night starting at 5:30 p.m., every night starting at 5:30 p.m., they've got lobster and they got prime rib, lobster tail, and prime rib, different prime rib every night, same lobster every night, all you can eat up on deck 4. Again, very, very small boat overall. You know, we've only got 1, 2, 3, 4 decks, and I believe there's a crew deck underneath from what I've been able to learn, because it's not flat bottom, it's actually kind of like a cruise ship. It's got an actual hull and everything of that sort. But let us right up to deck 4. Now, deck 4, again, you've got passenger cabins up here, and you've got what's called the River Grill. All right. So we've got a passenger corridor right here. Again, we're just jumping out the elevator. There are 2 elevators on board, double wide. I believe these are probably the only 2 elevators, unless there is one used by the kitchen. That is a crew-only elevator. Again, something super unique that we saw on the, you see more of that water station that you can fill. They do provide you with water bottles, and you can fill your water bottles they provide instead of having to get water all the time. Another unique thing, we did find this on the Countess and thought it was really, really cool. This is the secret hidden room service cart. So there is a secret hidden room service cart that they take and they put all the stuff that people have in the hallway and they hide it in there so you're not cluttering the hallway with things. I've never seen any cruise line or boat operator other than this one do that before. So kind of a interesting thing. And you'll see we're on deck 4. We're going to go ahead, we'll take the walk outside on the wild side. Could be a little rainy, but you'll see we've got some cabins right here. And we're going to go ahead, we're going to take a walk on the outside. So this is the only deck that you can kind of walk when the boat is underway, when the ship is underway. So when it's underway, you can walk this deck. And these are where, if you're wondering what's the difference between the balconies like we started earlier and the balconies out here, is these are semi-private balconies, or not private at all, because I can walk right in front of people's balconies. So that's the difference in the balconies right there. We're going to do a quick lap. We're doing the slippery shuffle. Slippery shuffle is what you do so you don't fall on your butt when you're walking out in cold, icy, fortunately, it is not below freezing right now, so nothing has iced over. But again, one of the great things about sailing, we're on the Snake and Columbia River. It's more of a review of the actual boat, but I think it's going to stay where it stays. It is the Pacific Northwest. This is not get a tan weather. We've had really good weather up till today, but again, not get a tan weather. This So, the Snake and Columbia River is where we actually are right here. So that's the weather. But I do want to show you the other dining location, and then I'm going to take you to the main bar. The other dining location, this is open 24 hours a day. Now, there's only limited options 24 hours a day, which is ice cream and cookies and soft drinks and fruit juices and coffee. Those are the items that are available 24 hours a day here, but they do have breakfast, lunch, and dinner available. This is in the River Grill, and it is very similar for dinner and lunch and even breakfast. Very similar to the dining room that we were on deck 1. I will tell you, I woke up a little late one day, like I always do. I woke up a little late one day, wanted something from the main dining room. Main dining room was closing. I didn't want to bother them, so I ordered it from the main dining room, and they sent it back up to right up to the River Grill. So it's really useful. Take it right from the main dining room right to the River Grill. We've gone ahead and we've kind of transited the boat here, and we're going to go ahead and go back in. Let me flip you around so you can see a bit of the River Grill. All right. So here's the River Grill. You can enter it either from outside or from inside. Just to show you where it says River Grill right there. We've got a whole bunch of different options. Now, as of this time, which again is April 9th, 2022, they are still mostly doing cruise service up here in the buffet. There are some exceptions, like I can get a drink myself. Got a nice little Coke machine here. I can get a drink myself, get a coffee myself. No, this soda machine is open 24 hours a day. Coffee machine is open 24 hours a day. Juice machine is open 24 hours a day. But these are only available during meal times right here. I will insert some photos of different meal times, but you'll see that those are available during meal times right there. We got some salad, sweet potato pie, which I am a fan of. And we've got ice cream cones, which they're filling the ice cream cones and they're filling with now. But the ice cream should be available 24 hours a day, as should the cookies, until the Cookie Monster comes and eats all the cookies, because the Cookie Monster always eats all the cookies. And we've got right here, we've got prime rib and lobster. Oh, prime rib and lobster every day from 5:30. No, go ahead, you do you. Prime rib and lobster every single day from 5:30 until 7:30. And this is the more casual dining atmosphere, but again, all of your drinks are included. So all you can drink, wine, cocktails, spirits. They used to be just beer and wine during dinner, and they've transitioned to all you can drink whenever the bar's open. They did have up here earlier, because today is our kind of sea day, river cruising day, they had hot chocolate with peppermint schnapps. So they had hot chocolate with peppermint schnapps, and you could enjoy hot chocolate with peppermint schnapps as we cruised the Columbia River. So let's just take a look. Now they do have, if the weather cooperates, this was used for one single day during this cruise where the weather cooperated. There is an entire outside seating area. So we'll see that entire outside seating area. And something that I just love to see on board, because you don't see this on any other, essentially, cruise ships. This is I'm gonna gotta do that slippery shuffle. Gonna unfurl it just so you can see it, because I think it's really important to have an American flag right there, because this is an American flagged vessel. So this is an American flagged vessel, all American crew, made in Washington, very unique, very Americana. And you've got that American flag that's whirring right there. And then right under that American flag, you've got a giant paddle wheel that does have Azzy pods on it. So this is only providing about 25% of the propulsion for the actual ship. But you will see we've got the American flag, which was nice and tied up and wet. Let it fly out there again, because it's one of the few American flagged ships that actually carries leisure passengers, because most of them are Panama or other countries flagged. One of the few ones that carries leisure passengers. Well, just got hit by the flag. Now what you'll see is you got these smokestacks right up here. Well, turn it around one more time. You got these smokestacks right up here. This is a diesel operating ship, does not use steam or anything like that. We learned the other day these smokestacks are completely fake. And you will notice, you see this mast up here? We had to go under a lot of bridges and go through a lot of locks, and that mast is actually hydraulic. So that mast right there can come down remotely from the bridge. You see you've got that hydraulic ram right there, and that mast will go up and down depending on what's going on. So, we've got one more location we haven't seen yet. It's actually one of the coolest ones. This is their main bar. And this is actually a really unique bar. They've got the best bar on board, meaning selection of spirits and different things like that, is right there. But we're just walking into here again. Let's come down. The best bar on board, it's on deck 2. And what's really cool about it being on deck 2 is it actually is backlit or back done by the paddle wheel. So you have the actual paddle wheel right in there. But we're going down. We're on deck 4. Just hit deck 3. There are some internal staircases we can take, and going down all the way to deck number 2. And they do have lounge entertainment in here. They have a piano guy who's in the show. Sometimes he's in the main show, and other times he's down here, takes requests, and has whole musical journeys. Did a whole thing about Bye Bye Miss American Pie, the Don McLean song, and broke down exactly what that song was. It's an interesting 45 minutes breaking down that song and breaking down other songs and what it related to and everything like that. But this is our last location we have not seen on board, which is on the back of deck 2, and this is the paddle wheel lounge. Just for amusement's sake, here are the public restrooms on board. Well, we're doing the men's one, just so you can kind of see. Got a lot more room in here than you do in your bathroom, so unfortunately no shower. But, you know, you got a lot more room in here if you gotta do the do than you do in your bathroom. But here we go, and you'll see that this is the paddle wheel lounge right here. And we got the wheel right there, spinning around and back. Nice and volume controlled wheel. But you can get right up close to it right there. No zoom or anything like that. That's the actual wheel. Got a nice seating area. Oh, they did bingo, and they've done some other music in here during the day. But bingo, live piano music, different things of the sort. And we've got the biggest bar right here. A lot of people are like, what kind of drinks do they have included? And I think it kind of rotates all the time. But most of the drinks, I will return in a few minutes. So I think he went to go get more stuff for the bar. But you'll see, we've got a full bar right there. And you don't have to pull out your card, it's all inclusive. There are a couple drinks, a couple of different liquors that are $3 upcharge. All the different beers are included. There are some local beers and different things like that. But we can just skim around real quick. Now I will tell you that, you know, this is an interesting thing to have, because I will tell you that a lot of the positions seem to be somewhat understaffed. So a lot of the positions right now on board are very understaffed. We are in the post-COVID age where companies, for some reason, don't want to pay people money to do what they're doing. Now, I have seen the hotel director. I have seen the cruise director. I've seen the engineering team. The hotel director is sometimes a bartender. The food and beverage manager is sometimes a bartender. Well, he just got on the other day. He's a bartender. You know, these people that are senior officers on board, in a traditional sense on a normal cruise ship that you would not see pitching in, you would not see helping out, they are helping every single day, pitching in every single day. I think that's one of the most unique things. So you're talking about what makes us unique. Number one, I will tell you, I was afraid the first time I came on here because you hear American crew, American crew, American crew, you know, and sometimes Americans get a bad rap. If you've ever sailed, and some of the people on this boat have worked on that boat before, but if you've ever sailed on the Norwegian ships that are based in Hawaii, Pride of America, or any of those other like that, you know, that they have an American crew. Well, so they have an American crew, and they get a bad rap. But I think the interesting thing is I've not found a single bad crew member on board this entire boat. There are some that are learning, there are some that are training, and I'm not going to slight you for learning and training. And one of the most impressive things we've found is there's been some actions that we've seen happen that have not been proper. We're not crazy complainers, but I've brought them to the attention and they were corrected, like, right, oh look, we've got someone wearing a clown nose. That's the bartender for the Paddle Wheel Lounge.
How's it going?
Say hello.
Where are the
What's your
clowns?
favorite drink?
My favorite drink? I'm gonna go with old fashioned.
What's your second favorite drink?
I'm gonna go with new fashion.
What's a new fashion?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. We're just going to go back here, and we should have some piano, and we're going to finish off with some piano music right back here. And then we'll wrap up. So we're headed back to the Paddle Wheel Lounge again. Because the bartender has now shown up as a clown. Rudolph. Now,
Oh, you said send in the clowns.
send in the clowns.
Here I am.
Send in the clowns. We've also got a popcorn machine back here
Except you'd never look better.
with some freshly popped popcorn and the piano music.
I know the moment is in pride. Tell the girl to calm the cool line to keep the conversation light. I guess I'm just frightened out of my mind, but that's how I feel. And it's the best feeling I've ever known. It's undeniably real. Leave the tender moment alone. Yes, I know I'm in love. Any better? 'Cause I love you just the way you are. I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships roll in, and I watch them blow away again. We're just sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. In the heart of Texas, the prairie sky is wide and high. Deep in the heart of Texas, the sage in bloom is like perfume. Deep in the heart of Texas, reminds me of the one I want. Deep in the heart of Texas, oh, where the wind comes sweeping down the plain, and the waving wheat can sure smell sweet when the wind comes right behind the rain. Oh, but every night by honey, lamb, and ice. Why are there so many songs about rainbows, and what's on the other side? Is that right? Rainbows are visions, but only illusions, and rainbows have nothing to hide. So we've been told, and some choose to believe it. I know they're wrong, wait and see. Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. Just when I ought to relax, I put my phone in my mind. 'Cause I'm just avoiding the facts. If the girl gets too close, find me somewhere to escape when the moment.
And this is also the library and like the general meeting room as well. This is one of the main public rooms that people will actually meet in there. So,
No, he wanted to chat with us. He just didn't want to talk because he's so introverted. Yeah, he's very introverted.
let's just jump out real quick, away from people. So, overall, honestly, if we're gonna give it a score from, A to F, I will give it an A. Now, unfortunately, just an A, not an A+, but it has nothing to do with what's actually going on board. The experience of checking in, getting COVID tested, everything like that, really, 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 really put a sour experience in people's mouths. Gave them kind of a nasty feeling, all of it. Ooh, really cool, what's going on over here, I'll show you. Is you get some really big boats that come through here sometimes. Look at that guy. That is the Azik Moon Bear. But if I was gonna say, out of 100%, I would give this sailing probably about a 94%. I'm knocking off 6 whole points, which is 100% is a good score. Knocking off 6 whole points for some very specific reasons. And they all do relate to the times we're in right now, the COVID times. So in the COVID times when we did come, they had everybody come. Part of the American Queen whole thing is that you check in the night before. You check into a hotel that they provide the night before, so kind of everyone's there a day before. When we sailed on the Countess the last time, the Countess was, you just had to show your COVID test. There was no actual testing that went on, but here they did testing on this cruise. So they were doing COVID testing, and they decided that they wanted 120 people to show up at the same time for COVID testing. And they ran a half hour late starting the testing, and they changed where the lines were multiple times and everything like that. They really need to fix that. And I will tell you, I am pretty sure that people from this company are going to see this video, and they're going to say, okay, is it time to drop what's going on with the COVID stuff? Loaded question. Is it time to stop what's going on with COVID testing, the COVID things? Crew members always have their nose popping out, but I'm not one that's offended by that, of their mask. But it was just a disorganized mess to get our cards to get on board. But as soon as we had the cards, we were good. And then also they were enforcing masking on the bus when they don't enforce masking on board, and blaming the CDC, which the CDC has no jurisdiction over private shore excursion buses. That's not true. I mean, it's just made up. And every single thing that we've pointed out was corrected. Other than that, if it wants to be company policy, that's fine. But you have to take ownership for that. When we were upstairs in the River Grill on Deck 4 earlier in the cruise, we asked about some of the procedures that were going on. They started blaming the CDC, and I said, no. The CDC has dropped all regulations. Plus, the CDC really never regulated ocean cruises. So the CDC dropped all regulations, and the CDC doesn't regulate ocean cruises, is the important thing to really understand there. But they've corrected, and now upstairs on Deck 4, whenever they do something that's, not normal, they say it's company policy, which is very different. And I will tell you something I never heard when it comes to the buses is, with the buses, they kept blaming the CDC. Again, the buses are run by the company, but they're not run by the team on board. So, if I am rating this purely on board, I'm going to give it 100%. 100 out of 100. Would I like to see snow? Would I like to see some more animals? But that's not things you can really control. But if you're rating it, directly with what's on board, I'm going to give it 100%. But I think it was a good rating. It's a good rating, good food, good everything. Lobster flavor day. And what's weird is, we're starting out we're ending where we normally start out this video, which is where you actually come on board the actual boat. If you do have any questions, feel free to leave them below. This was a cruise ship review of the American Empress. You'll see right here. Today it is April 9th, 2022, and we've got the American Empress right there, and this is Richard, that's me, from No Pants Profits, reminding you that when you wear no pants, the only thing you have left to lose is your shirt. But remember, when you're in the Pacific Northwest, unfortunately, even No Pants Profits has got to wear pants. This is Richard from No Pants Profits from the Pacific Northwest saying, bye, have a good one, and don't lose your shirt. Bye.